Hello, adventurers. My name's Tyler.
And I'm Richard.
On today's episode, we're giving our final thoughts and review of Daggerheart's Core Rulebook. Welcome to True Strike.
Howdy, folks, and welcome back to the show.
Good morning. If you're watching this,
you didn't see the tip
morning.
of the invisible hat that Tyler gave us.
Oh, yeah, audio listeners, I'm not wearing a hat. But
Yes, he's not wearing a hat, but he tipped it anyway.
Hey!
It's here. The final thoughts and review.
I thought you were going to say Daggerheart.
No, Daggerheart's been here.
Daggerheart's finally here.
Daggerheart's been there. Well, I did get mine.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yes, I got a standard edition.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
It's a great standard edition.
Yeah. As of time of recording, apparently difficult to get online, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Still waiting periods, long way out shipping. I got lucky, went into my friendly local game store. They had two shiny, brand new versions right there on the shelf waiting for me.
I've heard now they've got one.
Now they have one, allegedly.
Yeah. Might be none.
Might be none. So now we have the standard edition and we have the collector's edition. Might I say the cover? I like mine
Yeah.
better.
Wow. That's I've seen other versions of yours on Amazon. People seem to be generating some interesting mock-ups and selling it for their own gain.
Yeah.
Those people are bad people.
Don't like that.
Don't
Bad
like
people.
that at all.
Bad people. But no, that's what we're here to talk about is our final thoughts and review of this core rulebook.
Yeah, if you've been following the channel for a little bit here, we have just finished last week our 5-episode series, just going over each of the different chapters of Daggerheart's Core Rulebook. And yeah, now we're just going to try to get a culmination of all of our thoughts into one episode. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. It's great.
I wanted to kind of...
You done? We're done.
No, I don't want.
Oh, okay.
I do agree with you. I think this is great. And that comes off...
End scene.
No, don't end scene.
Okay.
We're still going. We still going. Yeah, I don't know if you've heard, but some of the I was called them sickos. Some of the sickos out there like longer episodes, right?
Man, we had some long episodes.
This show is two things. There's two things we're known for. One, being a family show. And two, 1 hour maximum episode length. And we've pushed our computer's memory to the absolute brink doing some of these, and I for one like getting in and out. We try to make the content we listen to, and I'm always excited when my content creators of choice put out like 1 hour long podcast. It's just a nice little catch up, throw it on during a drive. It's great. But some people, they want more, Richard. They want more. 1 hour's not enough. And I can't promise this will be one of those examples, but I can promise we'll definitely go over an hour at some point in the future because we have so much in this book here that we've already gone over so thoroughly. So much more to go through because we're going to go through even more thoroughly.
Yeah, I was going to say we're going to go through even finer than what we've already gone through and coming in the future.
So yeah, I'll, just briefly, I want to go over each of the chapters again. I know that sounds not brief, but just thoughts, final thoughts, Chapter 1, this is what I meant. Chapter 1 of this book, Preparing for Adventure. This is where we were going over general, world of Daggerheart, some of the stuff with, some backstory of gods and the planes and everything. We go over domains and classes. The classes in this game are your bard, your druid, your guardian, your ranger, your rogue, seraph, sorcerer, warrior, and wizard. For now, because if you've been following Void, they are just pumping out classes, man.
Yes, they are busy over there.
This game is still hot and fresh, and we're up to what, 4?
Yeah. 4.
So what, we got the brawler, the warlock.
Yep.
I'm doing this off the dome.
What's the next one?
The assassin.
The witch.
And witch.
The assassin. Yeah.
There we go.
I made a video about this. Come on.
Yeah. No one watches your videos.
I know. Sad.
I did watch your video. I thought it was great. Go over ancestries and communities. I think the first chapter of this book was outstanding. I think they just nailed what you needed to know for character creation right out the jump. And I want to say it was concise. I think it was well put together as it could be. I don't really have any changes or anything I would do to it.
No,
Thoughts?
I mean, it's arguably my favorite of the chapters that are included in here because it covers over ancestries and communities, which are like my favorite part of a lot of Daggerheart. I really love ancestries and communities.
Yeah.
I like what they have done there. So arguably, like I said, one of my favorite chapters here.
It's so much of your like, I'm gonna say world building. Your character building
Yes.
is just
Character
right
building,
there
yeah.
in what, 20 pages, 20, 30 pages.
Yeah.
It's solid. Chapter 2, we go over playing the game. This is all the mechanics that your players need to be aware of. If you are a player, read this chapter. You've just made your character. Now this is going to run you through everything. What spotlighting is, what you can do on your turn, duality dice, how your evasion, HP, damage thresholds, things like that work. Why stress is so gosh dang important. It's not only is it a consumable you will be using to fuel your actions, but it is also something that, the adversaries can take away from you. And if you lose it all, guess what? You're going to get hurt. So and I bring that up specifically because that's something we haven't experienced in other tabletop RPGs we've played.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, thoughts?
This is the meat and potatoes chapter.
This
is where you get into this is where you get into how to play the game.
Because that's a great way to put it. Because even your GMs, yes, you have to read this too. You can't skip straight to GM chapter. You have to read this too.
Yeah.
Solid. Good point.
Mm-hmm.
Next, we've got our running an adventure. This is your GM chapter. If you're a player, you don't have to read this. If you're a GM, you should probably read this. This is where we were talking about what your GM roles are, what it means, calling for different kind of roles from your players. They come at this. During our episode, I mentioned that I felt a little bored reading this, and that was because we've ran and played other systems.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't mean that as like a knock against this chapter by any means. It is excellent, I think, how they went about it, because they don't assume that you have experience running games.
Yeah.
They run you through everything. They give you so many examples, and after like actual examples of play and like the thoughts and what each player and the GM like says to each other and what happens, and then afterwards they'll ask you questions of like, well, how would you have done this, or this is what might have happened if it went a different way. And it's a great inclusion in a book like this, especially for brand new GMs, and experienced GMs can get a lot of that too. Those examples are, I can't overstate just how valuable those are.
Yeah. I think I do disagree with you on this one. It wasn't as boring to me. I did enjoy reading it, even though I was familiar with a lot of the stuff in here. I think that
nerd.
I think that there's a lot more to this game that even if you are a seasoned game master, there is a lot of stuff here that is kind of new concepts. I think
Totally.
As far as like ways to run a game, there are some familiar systems out there that kind of line in, but none that bring everything together from all these different systems in a marriage like this game. So I didn't mind reading this chapter at all. I thought it was pretty enlightening. I liked it.
I think in my head, I built it up. I was so excited. And so by the time I got to it, especially as exciting as chapter, 1 and 2 were, that I was like just ready for the GM, like nitty gritty, everything's going to be intense. And it was just like, hey man, a lot of this you already know. And here's some like things that are specific to this game. And I was like, you know what? This is important. Yep. I can't disagree with that.
I think one of the major differences between me and you and how we read this too was that I read these chapters back to back to back to back, right, in like one long shot.
Yeah.
Whereas you had cooldown periods in between them, right? So you're probably read chapter 2 and like had some time to sit and think about chapter 2 and reflect on how good it was, and then you moved on to this as like its own standalone thing instead of reading it one gunshot after the another.
Yeah.
So
I don't have it in me.
Probably a different approach changed your
much better
slightly.
brain. Then we go into chapter 4, Adversaries and Environments. Wow.
Yes.
This is fantastic. This is this and your campaign frames, and let's be honest, chapter 1, creating characters. You're going to revisit creating characters quite often.
Yeah.
You can't get away from that.
Yeah, you'll get back to that one.
But chapter 4.
Chapter 4 you should be referencing quite a bit, I think.
Dang near every session, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you're running,
Well, if you're running
the game exclusively, really.
Yeah. If you're running this exclusively and you're running adversaries that are in here, and you're not doing a lot of custom work and everything.
Well, even the custom work, I assume most people are going to be skinning.
Yeah.
Included adversaries. Sure, once we've all got our feet under us even better with this system, you'll just be throwing stuff out left and right. But guess what? They have templates for that in this chapter for making up environments and adversaries on the fly. Just pre-made stat blocks. Here's what tier your players are. Here's some basic stats. I love it.
Yep.
I can't wait to jump more into some of these things as adversaries and like really go in and see just how deadly this battle point system can be, whether it's overtuned, undertuned, or perfectly balanced as everything should be. I'm intrigued to find out. That won't be on this episode, but in the future, we'll see. Chapter 5, Campaign Frames. Chef's kiss. This chapter did not need to be in this book. It could have been it could have just happened one. They could have had one example. And they'd be like, hey, we've thrown in an adventure at the end of the book for all of you to get started. And we'd have been like, amazing. This is so good. So much detail. The wheels are already spinning just from reading this. I can't wait to run this. But no, we get a whole assortment. The level of complexity for each of them scales as you go through them. And God, they're so amazing. You're going to be running us through, Colossus of the Drylands very soon.
Hopefully.
And hopefully,
yeah,
I'm a riot. I am so excited. I've already building out my character. I'm going to be a ranger.
Oh.
Going with the rifle.
Okay.
Yeah, this is great. One of our friends is going to be a like a miner. He's going to be chucking dynamite. Wily attitude, and I can't wait. Yeah. This, like I said, this did not need to be here, and I appreciate it so gosh dang much. The team over at Darrington Press is amazing and outstanding, and they dumped. How are this relatively small group of human beings, right? How did they possess so much creative potential that not only did they make and put out this system, this whole game, and all of these campaign frames in a few years, I don't know if we know the whole timeline yet. We've known about it for a couple years, of course. But this is amazing. And these are just included. And that brings me to my next point. The value of this game is outstanding. How much did you pay for your core edition?
Core edition was, I think it was like what, $59.99?
Was it even? I thought it was $50.
$59.99.
Okay, so $60
MSRP,
USD.
so $60 USD.
Gives you the whole core rulebook, which has all the chapters we just briefly went over, including these campaign frames, which could have each of them been their own $10, $20, digital add-on online or zine sold in stores easily. And you got a ton of cards.
Yeah, box of cards to go with it.
Yeah.
There's everything you need to play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All for $60.
All for $60.
Insane. My favorite value in all of tabletop gaming.
Yeah.
Easy.
I think value was like one of the biggest things when I finished reading this book. And then holding even my commoner edition versus your collector's edition. It really it's a lot of content.
Yeah.
And a lot of really, really good usable content for a one book price.
It's so crazy.
Like, that's the wild part, is that like there's so much game here at a $60 entry fee. It's insanity. Like how much you get out of this and how much you can get out of this with just not even having to flex your own creative muscles very much, just using what's in here.
Just
because some of these campaign frames feel like full standalone games. Like Motherboard is so incredibly fleshed out as a world, like that could be run just as your like a game for a whole year. It's just everything is just right there, and all that for $60 blows my mind.
Yep. Don't want to get away from price too much while we're here. This edition, this collector's edition, limited edition, was $150 when you could get it. I can say that for that price, it is absolutely worth it to me. I 100% think your edition, and when we're talking like dollars for donuts, what's worth it? Yours is an outstanding deal.
Yes.
I think mine is worth the $150. And I mean that in a different, way. You get the different cover, sure. Like you said, you like your cover better.
Oh yeah, I love the standard edition
box
color.
that your cards
I love the card box with the elk on it. Looks
amazing.
Great. Yeah.
I love the art that your core box or your card box comes in. And for you transporting your cards is so much easier than me transporting mine.
Yes.
Like mine is part of this large, set, and you slide it out and it's amazing. I think yours and our portability also is gonna win time after time right there. And granted, I mean, I can take mine out, right? Let's not say I can't. It's not the same. Yours is designed to be brought out and about, and mine feels like I'm going to damage it, sliding it out, and then just bringing it around with me.
Yours is an unboxing experience every time.
Every time.
Every time.
Does it have a bunch of fish tokens I can use for all kinds of things?
Yeah.
Yes. Did I already own those? Also, yes. Does it have dice that I love? Absolutely. And if you are a dice collector, you realize that the cost of those goes up very quickly. I just dropped my book on the floor, and that's
throwing his collector's book at me.
Just whatever. I just buy another one, right? Yeah. So dollar for donuts, I think you definitely win here. BRB.
Yeah, so I actually was going to look for a collector's edition for a while there. Like it was, I was probably going to buy it. And I actually told myself too, if you walk into your game store and you see it, you're probably going to end up buying this. And I might have. But when it came down to it, I saw this edition. And as far as value was considered, it was just too hard to pass up. And then again, knowing that I think collector's editions are probably going to be going for over $200 easily now. So,
oh yeah,
and whether or not you're gonna be able to find them in your local game store, I don't know. If you've seen one in the wild, I am curious to know. Like, is that something that's actually happening out there? Because it would surprise me a lot if that was the case. But like we said, it's getting harder to even get the standard edition online right now.
Yeah, it's
without
crazy.
having to wait like what you said, like weeks.
I've seen people on Reddit claim that they've had their Amazon estimated deliveries pushed back that were supposed to arrive in July, pushed back to September 1st.
Ouch.
Yeah. So that's rough.
Yeah.
And then people in the EU, some have said their pre-orders date still showing whatever.
Yeah. I feel like I may have gotten lucky walking into my FLGS and finding 2 copies on a shelf.
it was a great find. We have some pretty good game stores around.
Yes,
us.
we do. Yeah, we have some pretty decent ones.
Yeah.
So can't lie.
Yeah. So value, I'll call an absolute win.
Mm-hmm.
Content's amazing. I don't know what I would have changed. I think about that, right? And I'm like, okay, now I'm being really picky, and I'll tell you why I'm being picky. I do wish one of the campaign frames had a very, very, maybe take a campaign frame out. I wish there was an included quick start adventure. Now I know online, I know you can get it. There's the, Messenger Sablewood, that is available on, Daggerheart.com. You can get to it. I wish that was in the book.
Okay.
I like having an included one shot with pre-made characters and stuff like that. Would it be extremely difficult to fit that into this book? Yes, I understand that. And it's available for free on their website. I'm being super nitpicky. I wish it was in the book. I understand why it's not.
Yeah, I don't know that I agree. I think I prefer it distributed the way that they're doing it. Like, I think that the space is better used for campaign frames.
Totally.
Because I think that if we were looking at extraneous things in this book, really, campaign frames is the only thing that you could take out. Right. Sure. So as far as like extra stuff that's in here, if you were literally trying to keep same page count, and remove stuff to put in something like a quick start adventure, campaign frames would be the only thing that you'd be able to really remove in here. Everything else is a necessity.
Yeah,
I would say. Whereas campaign frames that's just like, that's dessert.
It's such a chef kiss.
That is dessert that they've added into the top.
Yeah.
And I think
so
I would rather see campaign frames than an actual quick start.
Yeah.
Because campaign frames are just so open-ended, and it's just so easy to use those as a jumping off point to create an adventure, or to skin something that you want to do yourself. That I don't know. I think that I think the way they've done the quick start adventure being separate is probably the smartest thing, and I think I prefer it that way.
Is there? I don't remember if there is. But is there somewhere in the book that points you to the Quick Start Adventure online?
I don't recall there being anything in here. And I think that's probably because of the nature of the online world, right? Because there is that whole thing where like there's two things that I love and I hate, right? And one of it is we've had a book that I recently did, and it was a game that I ran. And one of the cool things about this game was, there's QR codes you could scan in here for like audio logs or to queue up some music or something like that, which is really, really cool.
Super cool.
Super cool. Is it going to be there 2 years from now? If they don't pay for hosting,
who knows?
If they don't hosting. If they don't pay for hosting, it's gone.
Yeah.
If a link gets moved because somebody changed an asset, like they changed a picture or something like that, then the content is gone, and it's gone until somebody realizes it's gone, or it's gone in perpetuity if they decide no longer to host it. Now, I'm not saying that Daggerheart's not going to be around. However, I think that it is probably better to not have it in print, referencing something that you cannot guarantee is going to be there in perpetuity.
You look at this at a legal standpoint?
No, I just think that it's best practices.
Because I'm not even saying you got to URL it. You could say, hey, come check out the free Quick Start Adventure on Daggerheart.com.
Yeah, I like that. Maybe not so much with the Daggerheart.com, because what if they change it? It's
Daggerheart.org.
It's just weird that like when you're pointing back to something, I don't like that, because there's not a guarantee that it's going to be there. And so what if it's not there? It's not the end of the world. You're just following a dead link.
And that's my not URLing specifically, because if they change the Quick Start Adventure, Daggerheart Second Core Edition comes out, you could still have a Quick Start Adventure available on the website. They could
just say, hey, follow us on our other platforms for, links to more materials.
I guess what I'm getting at here is not everybody, and I know we live in a digital age, but not everyone who picks up this book is going to realize that there is content online.
Yes, yeah.
Let alone such great content online, especially if you're new to this system or tabletop role-playing in general. Because we have an episode where we went over and we played through that exact one-shot. And, granted, it was during the beta, but it was the most hand-holdy thing I've ever played through my life. And I mean that is a giant positive.
Yeah. What I would rather see is rather than a link back to it, have it exist for free online. But then let me walk into my friendly local game store and pay a paltry sum of $12.99 to maybe like anywhere from $10 to $15.
No.
For a printed fancy version with
$20.
Like cardboard pop outs, like higher quality materials where I'm not printing it. I'm buying it already printed out. We're talking about like zine style, like very small, like it doesn't even, like I said, you can make it cheaper. You can make it 10 to 15 and not have it be like full size booklet. We're talking about like zine style, like maybe a 6-inch by 4-inch booklet.
But at this point, you've got to include the things people are expecting. So you've got to have a set of dice. You're going to have dice in there. You're going to have your cardboard punch outs. You're going to have your zine style book.
I don't think you need dice though, because nobody else does it.
Everybody else does it.
No, walk into your local game store and you look at something like when you're looking at Stockholm Press, all their stuff is just small shrink wrapped adventures.
Sure, but
no dice.
Is that a you are new to the system starter set?
No, but they are,
because that's what this.
But some of them are like starter style.
And if you compare it to their number one competitor in the space, which would be your Dungeons and Dragons, that is a $20 set that includes dice, pre-made character sheets, and adventure, and it thoroughly runs you through how to play that.
Well,
session.
yeah, if you're trying to hit that higher end price point, I'm trying to stick to the lower end price point here.
But I don't think they have to. If you want the lower end price point, it's free.
Well, yeah, I know it's free. Yes.
At this point, throw in the dice, make it some instead of hey, because I don't want to print out my fold up terrain and characters or whatever. I'm gonna drop $20. I'm gonna get my cardboard punch outs. I want them to make money on this too, right?
Yeah, no, obviously.
Especially the cost of everything's going up nowadays and stuff too. Anyway, I feel like 20 is a sweet spot.
Yeah,
and it would $20. You go in with your friends. Let's say there's 4 of you total. $5 each. 5 of you, even better. And you've got a solid night of fun for less money than like one of you buying a movie ticket.
Yeah, but that's how I'd rather see it handled. I'd rather see it be like free online, and then we're also going to offer quick starts.
Be amazing.
As a small set that you can buy in your local game store. Mm-hmm. That would be I think that would be the best way to do it. I'm glad, I guess I should say, that they did not put the quick start in here. Because I would have hated to see something else go, including 5 Banners Burning, which is
that's really funny.
Which is the one that I'm least interested in. But if I had to choose between the campaign frame of 5 Banners Burning and a quick start adventure, I choose 5 Banners Burning.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you told me in private you hate 5 Banners Burning. You hate people who like. No, I'm kidding. He didn't say any of this. But it doesn't mean he didn't mean it. So 5 Banners Burning aside, quick start, all these things available online. I'm going to go into the void for just a second, even though it's not part of this core rulebook, so I won't include that as part of a review, of course. But the health of this system and what they're doing with it going forward. I know a month or two, really close to launch, we were getting concerned because we had heard so little about it. Campaign 3 of Critical Role had wrapped up, and they were playing 5e and doing like specials for other franchises and stuff like that. And still, we were getting nothing about Daggerheart. We were getting like barely anything news wise at all. It wasn't really until the a couple weeks leading up to it that Spencer Stark, Rowan, and others at Darrington Press started bringing it up more. Which that was good to hear that a couple weeks before launch they remembered they had the game. But I was getting worried. And I believe you were too. But now there's like a brick on the gas.
Yes.
And they are just like,
they're barreling forward.
Hey, guess what? This game just launched. Here's 2 classes. Each class is 2 subclasses. This is Daggerheart. Let us know what you think. And then it's been like, another 2 weeks? And they're like, heard you thought Fighter was a bad idea? We're calling it Brawler now. And by the way, we didn't just change that. Here's 2 more classes with 2 subclasses. And it's like, like this cadence is amazing.
The cadence is really good.
We're gonna get up to a whole book's worth more classes soon, Richard.
Yeah.
How do we handle this? It's not another core rulebook a problem, obviously, right? So are we gonna do zines? Or
no.
Is this gonna be an online thing?
We're
gonna hold the cards.
I hope they're gonna follow
release, right?
I hope they're gonna follow the exact thing that I've talked about that we just referenced, which is I hope they're gonna follow the kind of release format of some other smaller publishers that I do enjoy, and that is smaller print that is supplemental, that is all completely optional, that expands the game. You don't have to have 4 new classes in this game to have fun with it. It's fun where it is. However, if you buy a small supplemental, book that goes with it, you now all of a sudden have 2 extra classes in this one, and you buy another one, you have 2 extra classes. Before you know it, you have a couple supplemental books that give you a bunch of different options that you can offer your players. I think that's what they'll probably do. But it's interesting because we don't need that right now.
Yeah. No, we're like just swimming already
because of what's currently in this book,
good.
Which actually kind of brings me back to we were worried about it before, right? And it makes me like wonder why they were so tight-lipped about this book, because there's really spoiler alert, we've been talking about it. There's not much to hate in this book at all. I enjoyed this book a lot.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the read. It was a far better read than any other TTRPG book that I've read.
Oh, it's so much more interesting.
In the last year. It's way more interesting.
This could have been split in 3 books to read.
No. Yeah, overall it was really, really good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good here. And I just wonder why they weren't teasing more of this book up to the release. Because there was that fear that, they're not talking about it. Is it not great? Like, is it not finished? Is it not polished? And that's why we're not seeing it. And what we're going to get is kind of, maybe is it going to be underwhelming? We don't know. But then we got it. And as far as I'm concerned, it's very well polished. There's not a lot that I would change in it. And this is a book that I think they should have drip fed us more before the launch. I don't know. It's interesting.
I wonder if a lot of it comes back to inexperience. And I know there's experienced members of the team, but putting out something to this scale, this high of quality, and the fact that now that we're seeing these classes and the card creator and things like that like obviously took a ton of work, that they just were heads down, pencils down, like just working on this game and getting everything ready post-release and everything else. It feels like they're just going on all cylinders all the time. And I think they have been, and they just aren't the marketers we thought they were. And that feels like such a shame, because I want to be like, yeah, but they have Critical Role. Let them handle the marketing. You guys make the game. But I know they're busy, right? Yeah. So they're not only are they running, the world's most popular tabletop actual play, but they're voice actors that have jobs, and some have like families, and I just wanted to see more. If I had a little time machine, I could go back and be like, guys, come on, a little bit more, right? But then look at the sales numbers. They didn't need it.
Yeah, obviously they didn't need it. People are starving to get it.
Yeah, like this game's lighting the tabletop world on fire. I mean, you've got lead designers at other systems jumping ship to come over.
Yeah, right.
So I don't know. Or we can backseat drive this, sideline quarterback it all we want, but at the end of the day, it seems to be working out for him.
All right. So this book.
Yes, that book.
I had just made a statement that I thoroughly enjoyed this book, and there's not much to hate about this book.
You said there's a lot of good.
And when I said there's not much to hate, you gave me crazy eyes, which implies that you have some hate.
No. So next week's episode,
tell me.
Richard and I are going to be doing a little bit of light role play where one of us is going to be defending Daggerheart and the other will be defending Dungeons and Dragons. And I was waiting to see what he hated about it, so I can be ready.
I'm not going to give you anything.
That was the crazy eyes.
I'm not giving you anything.
That was me dropping my defense in actual oh, please tell me what you hate about this so I can be ready.
Okay, well, I will then. I'll tell you some of the things that I didn't like about this book.
Oh, I can tell you that I didn't like the durability and that I ripped a page in my book really easily. So
bad. No, I didn't rip any pages.
That's not my fault at all, of course.
Yeah, I didn't rip any pages in this one. I did think my cat almost ruined my life, though.
Your whole life?
Because I was reading this on the couch and I had the bookmark hanging. Over the end, and I'm sitting here reading the book, and all of a sudden it kept tilting down like I had a fish on the line.
You did.
And I'm like, what is it? I got something's grabbing me. I couldn't figure out what it was. My brain did not make the connection as to why my book was suddenly getting heavier. And then I realized that my cat was hanging by the end of the bookmark, and I was able to get him off of it. Surprisingly, didn't leave a single mark.
Nice.
So kudos to these bookmarks. They are strong.
Also, every game like this needs to include bookmarks.
Oh my God.
Let alone
two bookmarks. Two bookmarks. Amazing.
And
I
the
love
fact that you can tell what chapter you're on the side of the page from the inking they did on the edges. Oh,
yes,
God,
that's so cool.
Glorious. Such good layout.
Okay, that's too many positives. Negatives.
What did you hate about this
5
book?
banners burning. No, I'm just playing.
If I had coffee, I'd have spit it out.
No, negatives. Artwork is amazing, but we kind of touched on this one.
Really good one.
And that was Adversaries.
Yep.
I wish we had some more artwork in Adversaries, because we see some amazing artwork throughout this book. One of my favorite portions is when we get to Ancestries. I absolutely adored Ancestry artwork, and they talked about it in the live stream that they did when they do in their launch party, where they brought the designers out and started talking to the artists about where their vision was for all this. Because one of the coolest things that they do in this book, if you haven't had a chance to look at it yet, is in the Ancestries, they show you the different ancestries that you can pick from, like say, a fungrel. Yeah. Right. And instead of just saying a fungrel, this is a single fungrel, this is what they look like. You get to see all these different sketches of different types of fun grill that are all the different ideas that the artists had that they were sketching up before they finalized the one that was going to be the artwork for the book. But instead of just trashing all those other sketches of other different types of, fun grill, they put them all in there. And they do that for every single ancestry. So you get to see all these different things that you wouldn't normally think of when you're thinking about like design work. You get to see different types of, frogs that, have different body shapes and just that drastically change the way that they look. Same thing with giants. Some of the giant sketches made me like, I just was caught off guard because I never considered having a giant with like a very long neck. So like you have a regional, giant where their whole design is like long, slender necks, smaller heads, big beefy bodies.
Yeah, for sure.
And that kind of stuff really fuels the creative juices when it comes to wanting to figure out what your ancestry is going to look like, what your character is going to look like. I would have loved to see this in Adversaries. We did get some of the more obscure ones in there. We have some representations of it. And it would have just been cooler to have it for every single one. At least one piece of artwork, but most of them we don't have any artwork for. We just have the name and the description.
And the ones you do, amazing.
And the ones you do get are really, really great. We just don't have one for everything. Now it all comes down to space. Obviously, the adversary section of the book would have been much larger had they had a piece of artwork for every one.
Yeah.
Would I have preferred a slightly thicker book with more artwork? Absolutely. But that's like one of the biggest negatives I think I ran across.
It's two things. One, really quick, because we moved past it slightly. Speaking of the rivets and the different artwork, they even show the like different colors and patterns in full color. Because, a lot of the rest is like the black and white, art sketches. The fact that they go out of their way to show in full color the vibrancy of the different skin tones. And then, you got like a very like angry, like actiony looking frog. And then you have a very royal, regal young man. And it's so freaking good. But then we go back to the Adversaries. Richard, I hate to break it to you, but the only way we possibly could have fit more artwork for the Adversaries in is if we got rid of 5 Banners Burning. And sacrifices had to be made.
That's a tough one. You put me in a position there.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Would I get rid of 5 Banners Burning for more artwork?
Artwork for every adversary.
No.
Yeah.
I would keep it in there.
I don't believe you. I would keep 5 Banners Burning. You are a liar.
As much as I would love more artwork, I just love having more campaign frames.
Really? Over actual question. I'll leave the character behind for a moment. You would rather have 5 Banners Burning. One of what do we got? 5, 6?
6 campaign frames.
So we knock it down to 5. And you get artwork for every adversary.
Ooh, that's a tough one. So
is it a tough one?
It's a tough one, yes, because I do like the artwork. I think that they made the correct decision by including 6 campaign frames.
You realize additional campaign frames can be released at a later date.
Yes.
Artwork will never be added to this book.
Yes. However, what we have gotten, what they went for in this campaign frames was a very broad stroke in terms of these are many different types of games that you can play this with.
Yeah, a game for every kind of person.
A game for every kind of person. Sure. And I think that they really wanted to showcase that with having 6 campaign frames because all of those campaign frames are so wildly different from each other. And 5 Banners Burning, as blah as it is to me, just because I watched Game of Thrones casually and it was okay. But political intrigue, stuff like that, it's just not my shtick, unless it's Dune.
Yeah.
But this stuff, it really was not for me. But it is for someone.
Sure.
And it is for a large swath of people. So I think that what they did was the right choice.
Okay.
Because the amount that they give you there makes it to where it's really easy to look at this game and figure out what's for you and what's for your group, and really gives you better ideas on how to play in that type of a realm. So yeah, okay. I'm sticking to my guns.
I will accept your argument, even though I don't like it. I have a devil's advocate rebuttal and everything, but I'm going to save that for next week's
Okay,
episode.
fine.
I can't reveal all my, cards, so to speak. Wink.
I'm trying to think if I have any other negatives for this book as a total. And as I was reading it, that was kind of always in the back of my mind. Is there something that you don't like? Is there something that you're not a fan of?
How's the index? I know you like a good index.
It was a great index.
Gosh,
I used it multiple times. I used it multiple times, and it actually referenced really, really well. But I really had a hard time while reading this book looking for things that I disagreed with or things that I felt were lacking. Because at almost every turn, I found something new or something better presented in this book than was presented in other books of ilk. And I've read a lot of books in the last, year since Gen Con. I've bought a lot of books at Gen Con, and we haven't had a chance to play a lot of those.
Games for review and stuff too.
We get sent games for review.
Read through stuff.
Yeah. And I just, the last time that I read a book that was this well encapsulated, that had everything you needed in one book, in one place. Do you know what it was? Do you know what I'm going to say?
You were going to say Morkborg.
No.
Okay. I have no idea.
It was One More Quest.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Hold on. That book's like 700 pages long, though.
It's gigantic. You could kill someone with One More Quest. It is huge.
It's wild. How big that book is.
Wildly massive. It has so much information.
Yeah,
it is so well laid out. It is got gorgeous artwork. It's a really good book. And it's the last book that I read that was on a level of this book. But they took so much more room to do it in.
Yeah.
So much more room to do it in.
And I would argue so much simpler mechanics.
Yeah.
Because you have for what your players need to know how to do things, it's a chart.
Yeah.
And it's just ways of throwing the dice.
Ways of throwing
at
the dice.
Target.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't played One More Quest, you build up your characters, your fantasy RPG typical, though Richard can tell you better than I can if you make that into other systems or whatever. And you're taking a D6 and you are throwing it onto a target on your table.
Yeah, you're not just rolling it, you're rolling it onto a target.
Yeah. And, the number, if a 6, I believe, does matter as far as like doubling damage or whatever, but it's your accuracy matters more than anything else.
Yeah.
And that game is enormous.
Yeah, it's enormous. And mostly because there's a lot of lore in that book. That book is so much deeper that I think that anybody that looks at that book realizes. Like, it's all lore.
And this game is not like that.
Not like that.
Yeah, when you go over the planes and stuff like that, it's like a page. And then there's and stuff for your ancestries and communities, which, sure, is a little bit, but not a ton. And then you got the frameworks, which are deeper than we expected.
Very deeper than we expected.
2-3% is lore heavy as One More Quest.
Yeah.
So I guess you could argue that if you were buying this to be like the all in capitals, capitalist or the word's gone.
Encapsulating.
Thank you.
Welcome.
System that, I'm going to buy this book to tell me everything I need and I'm just going to run this module. That's not what you have here. This is a game for creatives. It's for creative players. It's for creative game masters. You're going to sit down and you're going to make up fun stories or dark, terrible, saddening stories. You're going to make up stories with your friends.
Yeah.
It is not going to hold your hand.
I guess that could be construed as a negative point. Because
that's why I said it.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Is that could be a negative of this game, which is
us.
If you buy this game, you're going to have more work
for sure
as far as a game master is considered. Yeah, we made a video about this. You're going to have more work as far as a game master is considered. Because if I walk into my local game store and I buy this copy right here, I am not ready to just sit down and play a game. Yes, I've got frameworks here, which is a great jumping off point.
You're going to be so inspired.
I'm going to be very inspired, but I'm going to have a lot of work to do. Like, I am currently doing some prep work for Colossus of the Drylands, and I am going to have to put a decent amount of effort into getting this game ready to go.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be one single Colossi for this Colossus, not multiple, one single Colossus for this game that we're doing. But even still, I'm going to have to put a lot of effort into getting that game ready to go versus walking in, buying, say, Dungeons and Dragons off the shelf, buying either the core rule books or the starter set, either one of those things, where I can buy the core rule books and a module and literally just do some quick reading before session 1 and jump right in. I don't even have to read the entire module, honestly. I can just read the first bit basically to get through a single session, right? And then read the rest of the module later.
As you need it.
Yeah, as you need it. You can jump right into a module and just run it. You can buy the starter set, read the quick start guides, and just run it and just go. Like you're not going to have to put in as much effort. And the same goes for a lot of other types of games too. Like a lot of things, like even One More Quest. I ran a module or quick start out of the book because it had a quick start in the book. So yeah, I ran the quick start in the book and had almost no prep other than making voices up. Whereas this one, you're going to have to do some work. The game master quick start was going to have to do some work
in the book.
So you have the quick start available online. But yeah.
Yeah. Does the book actually tell me where to find that?
No, I don't think so.
We're circling back.
It might. Look at the index.
I was going to say.
But yeah, I guess that would be the negative is that, yes, buying this book standalone as it is, you aren't just ready to jump right in and begin playing.
And I think that's a discussion on its own as far as like who is Daggerheart for. If you want a book that is going to have a ruling for every situation, Daggerheart isn't for you. The book isn't going to do that. Your game master is going to do that. Mm-hmm. It's going to funnel you, the players and the GM, just enough. I think the bones as far as ruling and everything are it has something for everything, but not in specifics. I don't know how to specify my example even more. But it feels like Dungeons and Dragons, for example, would be like, all right, you've been up way too long. You have a level of exhaustion because of this. And oh, you're still super tired. Here's even more levels of exhaustion. And in this, I mean,
you're tired.
You feel a little sleepy. Because of that, you know what? I think you're going to have disadvantage. You're vulnerable now because you've been up for too long and you're getting delirious. And I'm like, dang.
You're like, where does it say that in this book? It doesn't. Oh, never mind.
And you're just gonna be making callings, which I think that's great. You know, it also less rules for a game master to remember, less for a player to remember. Also, if you're a player, guess what? You get to reference cards and stuff. You don't have to try to commit super confusing players, your character sheets to memory that just get denser and denser and denser as the game goes on. In this, your domain abilities, you're only going to have 5 on you at a time. Mm-hmm. Sure, you might have some in the vault that you could pull out, so you should know them, so just in case you need to, spend some stress maybe to pull them into your vault, do a quick switch out on the fly. But even then, you're not just getting bogged down with incredibly dense character. And great, I like that.
Yeah,
and because of things not being hyper specific, you can flavor and are encouraged to flavor everything. Can you flavor D&D? Absolutely. But I don't feel as encouraged as I am with this system.
That's true.
Any final positive negatives? Anything you want to bring up really quick?
Final thought, I would really love them to start selling individual components.
You want to get some backup cards?
I want to get some backup cards.
You want to get a GM screen?
I would buy
Since
right
the
now.
only way to get that was in the limited edition?
I would buy a GM screen right now.
Yep.
I would buy a set of backup cards right now.
Also would do that.
I would have bought a set of backup cards when I purchased this in the store if they were available.
Have even sleeve my limited edition cards if I could get some regular ones and sleeve those instead.
Yeah. Now, I mean, they're well-made cards. They're made to be used. They're made to be handled.
They're
if you're
cards.
a board gamer, you know how games work.
They also tell you like which edition they are and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so they're definitely going to make more.
They're definitely going to make more.
Will there be reprints?
There's
going to
be designs. So I imagine we'll probably see when we
some variations.
No, I think we'll get some erratas. If
Yeah.
anything, the erratas will reflect in a new set of cards.
They've been
kind of a
doing
thing.
erratas.
Yeah, so I think that's what we'll see. I would really love to see some extra
Different
components,
prints.
though, and I'm surprised that we didn't have a component breakdown as part of the launch, specifically with the cards, because cards are kind of a big deal, and you don't want to have to buy an entire core set just to get another set of cards.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would really like that. I'd like to be able to, buy that GM screen. Not necessarily that GM screen.
Yeah.
Make that one, keep that one.
Yeah.
Keep the GM screen that's in there.
Use the art
its own
for
thing.
your deer creature.
Yeah, this artwork, if
I
you're
want that on a GM screen.
I mean, man, if you're on audio, you don't see it, but it's the booklet for not the booklet, but the case. It has this elk, this moon elk on it, which is just like amazing looking. Super, super cool. But yeah, make that a GM screen. That would be amazing.
100% instant money. Cards are falling out.
Ah!
But great timing. Yeah, so on these cards, at the bottom, you have the artist listed, which, yet again, thank you, Darrington Press. This is a game made by people who love playing games and theater kids. And the fact that this tells you, this is from the Daggerheart Core, card 10 of 270, what year it was done, Daggerheart, Darrington Press, everything you need to know.
Yep.
The fact that they shout out the individual artists on every card, amazing. I can't wait. If they make variations of these cards, guess what? I'm going to buy them. If they just let me buy extras, I'm going to buy them. I do wonder if maybe part of the reason we couldn't buy these separately yet, what if this is just saying things into a microphone, as always. Maybe the cards is what's holding up them restocking the books.
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know how what's faster.
Yeah.
Like, what's the printing process? Is it faster on a deck of cards, or is it faster on a book? I don't actually know. I'm sure something's holding up something, because you're not just making one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something I think we discussed pre-launch too, is what would the fulfillment rate be with so many components?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we'll find out one day. Maybe we won't. I wouldn't be shocked if they were a little transparent about that. They seem to be pretty clear.
Yeah.
I can't wait for more of this game. I want to play more of this game. This game's super fun. I'm glad you were able to get your core set, Richard.
Yeah.
I want to take your card box, because your deer elk creature is super cool. And I want that creature in our games.
One of the main driving forces behind getting this, honestly, was a set of cards so you would not have to use your collector's cards.
Yeah, we can't use yours
in
either.
our game.
We
can use
set.
my cards. I'm just gonna have to sleeve them.
You told me you were anti-sleeve.
I was anti-sleeve. I'm gonna have to walk this back because I can't buy another set of cards. If I could buy another set of cards today, I wouldn't even bother. Sure. I wouldn't sleeve these. I would just run them as is. But having being a person who plays around people, we play board games all the time. Mm-hmm. And also I know me, right? So I'm holding cards. I'm going to fidget those cards. I'm going to be moving them back and forth in my hands. I'm going to be working them all over the place. Yeah. And I know that's going to happen with other people too, which means 100%. They're going to get dirty. Yep. They're going to get stuff on them. People are eating at the
edges
tables. Edges are going to get frayed. Something might get wet. Sure. It's inevitability. Yep. So if I was able to buy another set of cards, I wouldn't worry about these as much, seeing as these are the only set that I currently have and you cannot buy them separately. Makes me want to protect them now. And it makes me not even want to look at your pretty gold foil edge ones, because they are just too pretty to be placing on a table to be played with.
God, could you imagine?
So yeah, I think we'll probably end up using mine until we can get some replacement cards in here.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, no, I think that's it.
How do you want to do this? Should we score this? I don't think we normally score things.
Yeah, we don't normally
just do like
score
a recommendation.
Yeah,
score feels weird.
Score feels weird. And also, I don't even know what I would score it at other than just great. I mean, actually, I did score one more quest. Didn't I give that like a 9-something out of 10?
No idea.
I scored it very high.
Idea. If I would have scored it lower, that's for sure.
One more quest was probably
not about one more quest.
It was one of the best books I read in a long time, so I scored it really high. Scoring is weird.
Scoring is weird.
But yeah.
Here's what I would say.
Okay, say it.
And then you
you say it.
Let's see.
Go ahead, say it.
There's no pressure.
Say it.
Everyone's watching me. I think if you are into tabletop role-playing games, because you like the role-playing part of that, This game is not just a good one for you. This is possibly the one for you. This is a great one for you at the very least. This is such a cool game built for the desire to just have fun with your friends without having to be bogged down by too many rules.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that the action economy is so freeform allows you to set up and knock down, or for you to set up and your friend that is in an appropriate situation to knock down for that to happen. You don't have to wait. Well, you know what? They just went before me. I got to wait until, initiative gets back to them or something. And it allows for really cool narrative moments inside and outside of combat, which is not always the case. A lot of the times, once combat starts, it becomes a waiting game for some players where they pull up their phone and they are just want to get back to their turn. There's not a lot of story being told. And it's just a numbers game where you roll dice. And some people love that. Fantastic. There are games for that still exist. You might like those better. If you are going to come into this system and try to min-max your ancestry, this probably isn't the game for you. Not at its heart. This, if you want to break combat, probably not the game for you. You might feel like you did something really cool because you went online and you found out that like a druid multi-class could be super strong and you just want to be the most powerful player at the table. Doesn't matter, really. Does that make a cool narrative or does it just make you feel strong? There are other games for you. But if you want to come down and sit with your friends and just have a fantastic time, maybe you want to go through all these frameworks and just have a blast jumping around like a futuristic, like a prehistoric future world with motherboard, or you want to live out your favorite, soon to be favorite Western Shadow of the Colossus adventure. Guess what? That's here too. Or you can just make up your own stuff, and it's so easy with this system that I cannot, outside of rare instances, maybe we're reviewing something or maybe we're doing some one shots, but I don't see us switching to another system for our main game now that Daggerheart is here. I think this is an amazing start to their what seems to be fantastic future of content we're going to get from them. This is a great start. I can't wait to play, more of this and see more of this. Awesome team behind it. It's amazing. I'm so excited with this book. Sorry, I've took the stage for way too long. Please, let's move the spotlight to you.
Do you want to have fun? Play Daggerheart.
Insane.
Do you want to do math? Play something else. Yeah, it's this thing. It's just this is a glorious system. I think most people that are in the TTRPG space are in there because I think a lot of people that have come into it recently, I think I should say within the last couple of years, are in the space because of the opportunities that Dungeons and Dragons and other games offered in ways to escape reality and have a good, fun story, collaborative storytelling effort around the table. Now, like you said, a lot of people are in it for other reasons, math rocks and the crunchy, grindy portions of things. I would venture to say that it probably leans harder towards the role-playing side of things. For a lot of people. And I think Daggerheart is the leader of the pack right now, as far as that's considered. I think that you are going to be hard pressed to find another system that is easy to dive into, yet still very deep in bones, that allows you to build whatever world that you want and whatever world that you want to be in. It's not so loose as other games in the sphere that you have to come up with everything, and you have to do a lot more work as far as coming up with your own worlds. There's a lot of meat here that you can take inspiration from, and the rules can be applied across all of it. because they're that handy. Like the way they're designed are very fluid and with very minimal effort, which you see in the campaign frames, can be molded to fit specific needs. What they've released here is absolutely wonderful, and I think it is poised to take over a lot of tables, not just ours. I think that it is something that is going to become a mainstay at a lot of roundtables as far as what people are going to play. And I can recommend very easily for anybody with an interest in TTRPGs, even in passing. But if your interest is in role playing and world building and narrative, collaborative efforts with your friends, this needs to be on your list.
And what a shock to me personally that Dungeons and Dragons, for example, it's 50 years, right? Just recently celebrated their 50th year anniversary. And it has been the top of the, list for most people. And I assume it probably still will be. It has the name that people know. And for this to come out on its first swing at base, it'd just be so good. Just knock it out of the park so well on its first try. I mean, it blows my mind how good this ended up being. Like, I thought we were going to play this. We were really going to like it because of its heavy influence, lean towards role play over mechanic. But for the mechanics to be so good. And it's just such a well put together book. It has everything. It's awesome, man.
It's that groundbreaking product effect where you're watching television one day and you see the new thing on the screen that's $14.99 that's going to change your life.
Mm-hmm.
And you think, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah, right.
That person is going to make billions for solving this simple household problem that nobody else thought to solve.
Yeah.
How come I didn't think of that?
We didn't know we needed this.
Yes, and I think that's really what it is I don't think that the TTRPG space that knew that they needed something that skirted that fine line between ruling and narrative,
mm-hmm.
and combined them to be something that was playable, and well thought out and just worked. We didn't know we needed this.
Mm-hmm.
But we got it.
We've finally seen what happens when people who play games make games. So, hey everybody, thanks for sticking around this long. I hope you enjoyed our little hour-long-ish rant about our thoughts on this game we've been talking about for like a month and a half now. We're super stoked. I hope you are also really stoked and are at home playing Daggerheart and you aren't waiting on it to ship to you. And if you are, I hope it gets there soon. If you are on all those places where you cast pods, 5 stars is really appreciated. YouTube, if you want to like and subscribe, that smash button, hit the bell, all those things the kids say.
Hit the smash button.
Hit the smash button. All those super nice and positive things you guys say help keep those 2 lanterns lit. But for now, everybody, I've been Tyler.
And I've been Richard.
And we've been True Strike. See ya!
Signing off.
Hey, adventurers. Thanks again for joining us today. Please be sure to give us a follow on your favorite podcasting platforms and YouTube. If there's any questions you'd like to write into the show, you can hit us up on Threads, Blue Sky, or Instagram. New episodes released every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. Thank you for listening to True Strike.